I found out my sister passed, I was in the car with my dad. He said, your mom called me like 4 times. So my dad tried to play the voicemail, but it was connected to the phone's Bluetooth speaker, and I heard my mom's voice, and she said, I don't know how to tell Skylar. Keli's dead. Hi, Scene TV. This is my story. When thinking about my sister, the first word that comes to mind is definitely tenacious. She was not a rule follower. She was so excited to have a little sister, and she was the best big sister I could have ever asked for. She would stay up late and let me watch TV shows secretly in her bed, would pick me up to and from school, taught me how to read and write before I even went to pre-K, and always made sure that I was the center of her world. She loved to stay out late, go to screamo and metal concerts with her friends. Brett was a neighbor in the apartment complex that my sister lived in, and they were mutual friends. They hung out in groups. My last interaction with Keli was on August 3rd. That night, I went to my friend's house to have a sleepover and realized I forgot the charger to my iPhone. My best friend had an Android, and I knew if my phone died, I was going to be in a lot of trouble. So I texted my sister, and she let me borrow her phone charger. We had a good talk, and then she left. August 4th, I had texted her that night that I was going to bed. I told her good night, love you, and that was the end of it. It was about 5:45 in the morning, and I was about to leave to go to work. I was in the car with my dad. My dad looked at me really concerned, and he said, your mom called me like 4 times last night. And my parents are divorced and they don't really talk. My dad tried to play the voicemail, but it was connected to the phone's Bluetooth speaker. I heard my mom's voice, and she said, I don't know how to tell Skylar. Keli's dead. I remember just staring at the dashboard, and I said, what? And that's all I could keep saying was just, what? I went to work that morning because I was in such a state of shock. I didn't know what else to do.
29-year-old Brett Hefner has been arrested after police say he attacked and killed 26-year-old Keli Collins earlier this morning at her apartment. Police go on to say that after attacking Collins, Hefner stole her car to flee the scene.
Before everything happened, I actually didn't know Brett. I had heard my sister maybe talk about him before if they were going somewhere with her other friends, but other than that, he never really got brought up. Looking back now, there were a ton of red flags that the community completely ignored. There were mentions of his behavior towards other women being absolutely disgusting, making sexual comments, and saying super gross things towards and about women. His Facebook page was filled with obscene conversations about just hatefulness and wanting to harm others. Facing Brett in court was definitely a really weird experience for me. I gave my victim impact statement, and I made sure to look directly at him, even though I knew that he's not capable of feeling empathy or any sort of remorse towards what he had done. Brett received a 25-year to life sentence, so he will be eligible for parole in 2047, I believe, and we will absolutely be at that hearing to ensure he won't have parole. When my sister passed, she left behind a 5-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter. It took a while for us to be able to explain to them what really happened, because at the time they were just so young that they weren't going to understand that a monster took their mom away. I think the hardest part about losing Keli is the emptiness. It's the lack of being able to text her and say, hey, I need a ride, or hey, do you want to come over? And it's so hard wanting to text someone that you know is just never going to answer again. I like to keep Keli's memory alive in a lot of different ways. I've tried to open myself up to new opportunities and new friends, and I've tried to focus on helping people. One thing about my sister is that she would help anyone. I want people to remember my sister as someone who was strong-willed and helpful and caring and chaotic and just perfectly herself.
We are seen. Are you?